Yay, another hour of sleep.
So maybe we could also, you're managing all the,
I'm
popping up.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Hi, Brooke. Good to see you. Hi, Catherine. Welcome.
Hey, Catherine. Yay.
So right now we're just putting in the chat where we're from. So if people from outside haven't seen us before, they'll have an idea where we are in this wonderful world. And if you want a challenge, you could also put what's your inner weather like today.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. There's Sean as well. Clay. Hi guys. Good to see you. Welcome to this space. So if you can just put in the chat where you are in this world. I think Sean and Clay, you exchange information. You guys know each other by now. But there are other people here who haven't met before, I think. So if you could share in the chat just where you're from in this wonderful world, and if you want a challenge, then try to describe what's your inner weather like today. All right. That's a bit of a challenge sometimes. It's not that easy. Catherine, calm and breezy. Like it. No stress today, huh? Well, nice smile at least. All right, something scattered, Samantha. Okay. What's that like? Hey, we got Indy as well. Good to see you again, Indy. Welcome. So we're just putting in the chat where we're from and what's our inner weather like, so we have a feel for what's going on for people. And Clay, it's sunny and warm. Fits the inner weather as well. Okay. So should we give them a little more time, or do you want to get started, Adam?
I think we can. We'll get started here, and people will drop in as they do. And for those that wanted to be here that can't, we'll be recording this, so we get to share the goodness with folks. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here.
All righty, this is exciting.
Yeah.
Though we tried it a few times, but now it's really new stories every time, and let's see what's going on.
All right. Can you guys see here?
Yeah, I can see it.
Amazing. Okay, I can't see anyone's faces right now. I can actually only just see what's being presented. So say something if the slide totally doesn't match where we're at. But just super grateful that everyone's here and just so excited for this time together. We've got a fun plan for today. So with everything with this project that we'll get into, it's all about connecting. And so the purpose of the day is first and foremost is connecting and getting to meet one another from all over the world. Some people know each other in this group already because they were in the same cohort small group together. Others were in different small groups. Others are just here to learn what is this thing that I saw. Someone sent it to me, or it was posted on Mighty Networks and Farmers Footprint. So whatever brought you here, very grateful you're here, and we're going to get a chance to connect. After that, we're going to spend some time celebrating what we've been discovering with gratitude and curiosity. This program, this project is about how do we lead with love rather than fear to make things better, and how we go about connecting, leading with a thank you. And so we're going to celebrate what we've been discovering, and we're going to hear from some people who just participated in the latest pilot program to see what unfolded from that journey. And then understanding is the third piece of the puzzle here. And we're going to learn kind of after our fourth cohort, what have we learned? Where are we at after this? And then imagining, where do we go from here? What would we love to see happen? And we're going to get these wonderful minds together to share ideas and hopes for the future. And then we're going to act. We're going to share some ways to get involved and where we can go from here. But as always, if something you see on there, if where you're feeling drawn to is not on there, reach out and let us know, because we want to take these dreams, these visions for how we can bring about this more beautiful world and go create it. And so we'd love to hear from you, even if it's not one of the ways that we've listed that you can get involved. So with that, we've got new people. We've come from a million different things in life, meetings, family, just a lot. And let's take a breath to be present right now together. So I'm going to pass it off to Henrik here to lead us in a little grounding.
Right. So for those of you who participated in this kind of reading before, try to go even deeper this time, because there's not really any limit for how deep you can go. So it's all about getting comfortable in your seat, loosen up your shoulders a little bit, and just relax. Really feel the seat. And so if you want, you can have your eyes open, you can have your eyes closed, as you most prefer. And so right now is an exercise about connecting with the last meal you had. What's the food that you had? What was the flavor? Just really connect with it. Now try to sense how far down the digestive tract it's gone. Is it still in the stomach? Further down? How far in the process of becoming you do you think it is? Just take a moment and really connect with your food. The energy that it gives you. Just say thank you to all of those millions of bacteria there doing a lot of work for you. Otherwise, it wouldn't be accessible. When you get to that place where you feel centered, relaxed, just slowly open your eyes and come back to this space. All righty. Thank you so much for joining. It's really nice to settle in together in this way. So while Adam is now setting up the breakout rooms, I'll just explain a little bit. So we now have breakout rooms with 2 people in each, more or less, I think, depending on how it goes. And you have 10 minutes to actually try out this concept of having a curiosity conversation with another person. And so we'll be putting in the chat just some questions that you could use if you like for inspiration about being curious about what's going on in that other person's space. It's not mandatory that you use them, but it's really good to be, curious about what's going on in that other person's world. And so, can you put that in the chat, Adam? And alrighty. And so this is all about connecting. Remember that it's not about telling or having an agenda, but being curious about what's going on in that other person's space. And so after 10 minutes, you're supposed to automatically get back into the space, so you can keep an eye on the clock, and after 5 minutes, time to swap, maybe, or keep the conversation going or flowing naturally, whatever feels right in that space where you are. And then let's hear a few stories after that about what it's like to be in that space when somebody is really curious, open-minded. And so this is what we are here to learn about. So let's start with trying it out.
Just give me 1 second. We're going to get these breakout rooms going.
So let's get those things going.
Okay.
So one of the
All
things
right.
that you talk about in the breakout rooms, what brought you here? What was it that made you show up today? You know, try to tap into what was the motivator. Okay. You could also tap into what it is that lights you up in the space about the other person, or share what it is that lights you up when you're in this space with Farmers Footprint in general, or Curiosity Conversations. Or you could simply also share what's in your space today. That's another way of asking, how are you doing? But we go a little bit deeper. Yeah, are you there?
Henrik, people are getting dropped into those right now, so I'm going to throw the questions in the
Sure.
yeah.
Please. Hi, Charlie.
Charlie, Charlie, are you in? I think I need to put you in this group.
Because they came just before.
Yep.
So.
Charlie, do you have a button that says join this room?
Okay. So are we one left over? You can put me in a room.
So that is, unless they say something, that is a note-taking. That's not a person.
Okay.
Yeah, that's someone that has this taking notes for them.
Okay.
Yeah. It's yeah. It's a thing that allows you to kind of take notes on the meetings you're part of.
Mm. Hi, Denise.
Hi, Denise.
Hi, guys.
You came back to the space?
I was all alone.
Oh, no.
You were all alone.
I was.
There's a breakout room 17, I think.
We're going to drop you. Oh, that was the note taker person. I'm going to drop you into this group. Okay.
Okay.
All righty.
Thank you.
See ya. She got the note taker.
Okay. Well, all good so far.
Yeah. I just extended the
Just to remember that this is still being recorded, so it's also going to be shared unless we do editing.
Yes.
Right.
Well, let's connect. I'd love to connect with you.
Yeah.
What's been lighting you up these days? I get to talk to you every day, mostly, but what's been lighting you up today?
What's been lighting me up today is that I got a lot of stuff done on the house here. Bit stressful about the internet because I definitely wanted to make that work, and so we have some surveillance camera out in the street, and that we couldn't because we got our own internet instead of the owner who had the house, and so we couldn't get that working, and we'll have to continue tomorrow. It's just if you have an online technician who is messing up with Wi-Fi and all that, and it just took longer and longer time. That was a bit stressful. So I had to say stop. No more.
Yeah.
And so anyways, lots of things going on, and yeah, just relax. So, but that's the breathing exercise is a good idea. I can tell you that.
I needed to apply that today too. We right before this, I had to submit a paper for my business school class.
Okay.
And of course, right as I needed to submit it, my internet goes down, my computer freezes, and we're one email away from more or less having to be like my dog ate my homework type excuse. And thankfully, resetting my computer worked, the internet worked again. But we put it in, which was good. The paper was interesting too. It was the class is about leadership development, and so what we had to write was essentially about our ideal self So it's 3 topics: our ideal self, our values in life, and our
Mhm.
vision.
Right.
And it was
Just to have an idea, how many pages are we talking about?
well, I thought it
Words.
was supposed to be 6 to 7 pages single space, so I did that, and then it turns out it was supposed to be double space. But I like writing, so it was not an
Okay.
issue.
Okay.
So it ended up being a bit lengthy.
But sometimes writing too much is not appropriate.
No, the professor said, "I'd rather you write too much than too little."
Okay.
And I have no idea how he expected anyone to write anything of substance with more or less. Yeah.
It's a real challenge, right? We did that in this course as well. Try to get it all on one page.
Yeah.
That's really difficult, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So,
How
but
often
it was
do you
good
go
to
to
kind of put a
classes?
stake in the ground. To like,
Right.
it's one thing to talk out loud about like, this is what I believe in, this is what I value. It's another thing to put it down, and more or less you could hand someone this paper to get a sense of like, who are you at your core?
Right. Yeah.
At least
Oh,
you
you need
feel
to
it.
share it
Yeah,
with me,
I
please.
will. And I actually, the next step in the class is actually scheduling curiosity conversations with people.
Oh, right.
To schedule curiosity, and they don't use that language, curiosity conversations, but it's
Essentially, it's the same.
it's learning, it's interviewing people to better understand yourself, because
Mhm.
more or less the self-assessment, your self-assessment carries a lot of bias. But if you talk to people and get the feedback loop from different perspectives and get that diversity of perspectives, and you can kind of hold that mirror up and
Mhm.
get a better sense of you.
Mhm. Right. Right. Right.
So
Interesting.
that's the next step. So yes, there will be an email coming your way of to schedule a curiosity conversation on
Mhm.
some topics related to the class.
Right. Right. So how many hours a week do you go to that class, or do you spend
So
on?
immediately after this session, I have a 2.5 hour class.
Okay.
Um, and then it's a couple hours of work outside of that. But so
Mhm.
I only take one class at a time. We have someone new joining here as
Okay.
well.
I was really curious about that Jewish holiday that's coming up.
Yeah, let me sorry, this person just joined and I want to make sure that they're not in no man's land right now.
Okay.
I think he might be joining us here, which would be great. We get to meet him. I don't know this person.
Never
Hi,
heard.
hi, Luke. Well,
Mhm, mhm. Look, he is now in the primer. He ought to be with us. It says.
well,
Anyway,
we'll get him when we get him.
right.
But yeah, so I take one class at a time. So some people try to do this MBA, and hey, Nez,
Hey, that was a surprise.
good to see you.
Good to see you guys too. How's it going?
It's fun. People are in breakout rooms right now, and so Henrik and I we're catching up.
Good.
People are doing their most favorite thing right now.
Oh, what is that?
That is connecting.
It is true.
That's the thing that they love the most.
Yeah. I went to the Herb Society last week and I got to hang out with a bunch of 70-year-olds, and it was probably the best time I've had in a couple of weeks. They just were so cute talking about what herbs they planted in the past couple of weeks, and it was adorable. So here for that.
Is that like Houston-based Herb Society, or like what? I've never heard of the Herb Society before.
I think it's a national organization.
And this is just the Houston chapter meetup?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's Herb Society of America. So I think they have chapters all across the country.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just a note, Adam, Jonathan wrote that he won't be able to make it today as he needs to help his daughter. So there'll be space for us to to mention what we talked about, the opposite effect.
Yeah.
In the stories. Yeah. Okay.
Fantastic. So Inez, what's been in your space today? What's been going on?
Not too much, just working and then physical therapy. So pretty chill.
How long's PT been going on for?
I just picked it back up. I had it back in 5 or 6 years ago and just recently picked it back up. Yeah.
Well, I need to get back into stuff. I went from moving a lot to now the extent of my movement is like strapping a 10-pound weight on my chest and like just bouncing or just holding it in one arm, not both arms, just one arm. And like we're getting lopsided and it's all kinds of fun.
Oh, the joys of life.
Yeah.
So there's somebody joining here called Anne. Anne, can you hear me?
I can. Yes, I can. I'm sitting outside in a little bit of a, not a noisy place, but I'm off camera and was on mute. But yeah, I'm in Austin, Texas. Inez, good to see you.
Oh, good.
Hello, hello.
Hello. And
You know each other?
we do. We
All
do. Yeah.
So
We
just
met
to tell you that we are right now in breakout rooms. People are coming back in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Just trying out the concept of having a curiosity conversation with another person. And whenever people come back, we'll then start to hear from those people who participated in this last cohort, some stories that they would like to share. Just so we have an idea about what's going on.
It sounds great.
And by any chance, are you friends with Wyatt, or do you know Wyatt Rogers?
Well, that's how I was connected. Absolutely. That's how I met. Well, I met Inez and I met Wyatt through Inez.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in Austin, so that's
amazing. I think Wyatt's brought up your name before too, so this is amazing to get to put even voices to names. Yeah, that's wonderful.
And where are both of you? Where are you, Adam and Henry? Where are you?
I'm in Coronado, California, so in San Diego.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
I am in Quito, Ecuador.
Ooh, Ecuador.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and you signed up as an advisor, as far as I remember, right?
Well, I don't know how I signed up, so I don't. Thank you for. I thought I signed up as just to sign up to learn about it. So I'm clearly the advisor.
That's totally fine.
Sorry if I mess that up.
No. We're here to learn, and that's perfect that you are in this space, and you have now a chance to hear a bit more about what's going on, and we'll take it from there.
Sounds wonderful. And Inez, did you see the email I sent? So I'm trying to gather up the regenerative ag folks here in Texas and other parts of the globe. But did you see the email I sent introducing you and Kath and a whole bunch of other regen ag leaders here in Texas? I'm on a board of called the American Sustainable Business Network. And they have a regen ag and equity component. And
hey, Anne, how about we can talk after this meeting? I don't think I received that email, but yeah, feel free to ping me and we can chat then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, everybody's joined. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay, no problem. We will.
This is amazing. There's always more time for connecting. There's no matter if we did 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, there's always going to be more time for connecting.
Yeah.
I love it.
So how was it like? Did you like it? What was in that space? You have if you want, you can share in the chat some pluses and some question marks, and so we have an idea about what's the flow of this conversation as well during this space we have together. It's one way of letting us know how it's going for you. But anybody would like to share what it was like to be in the breakout rooms? I learned that Cat recognized synchronicity. What's that, Indy? Could you explain? Where are you, Indy? I can't see you on the screen, but you must be here somewhere. Anyway, that's okay. Okay, so we get some responses
I
here.
can explain if he doesn't.
All right, you were the one explaining.
Yeah. So
Go for it, Denise.
So when I'm in alignment and when things are this is my check. He comes and sits on my lap when I'm in calls, and when things are flowing and things are in sync, he comes and sits on my lap. So I think that's what he was saying. And then also we have the same hair color. So
All good. Synchronicities. So, what are we up to next, Adam? Yeah, Linda?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I always feel like when we do these breakouts, I don't know if you magically just connect me with the right people, but I always feel like Clay and I could have talked for another hour, and I'm like already thinking, okay, we gotta do this, and I'll connect you with that, and can't wait to come up and go skiing with you. Yeah, it was really awesome. It was
Right.
great.
It is true. Every time we meet, we connect with somebody, there's something in that space, and there's an opportunity to learn for sure. We just need to tap into that space. So, thank you.
And I think a big part of this is there's something about life, something that drew us to come to an event like this, something that's about how are we making the world better and healing food systems, leading with love rather than fear. And in many cases, we don't always have those people in our local community that are aligned with us. And so part of this is finding our people, and we find that group virtually, and we're going to learn the skills and the practices of how do we then actually create that in our own community where our 2 feet are right now. And so we'll share a little bit more about like what we're doing here, but at the end of the day, we're finding our people and creating this world that is invigorating for all life. And so as we're going through this, Henrik mentioned it, the plus sign, the minus sign. I encourage you to use the chat, or if as we're going, you hear something, someone sharing a story, something that you love, you like, appreciate, throw a plus sign in there, let them know. Or if there's like something you're curious about that pops up as we're going, just let it unfold. Okay. And so, yeah, we're going to share a little bit more about like, what is the Food System Innovation Project? What is it that we're doing here? And at a high level, and we'll get to stories. There's a lot of you here participated in the program as a doer, and then others here also participated as active advisors, passive advisors. There's a lot of different roles at play here in the project. And so we're going to get to hear stories from a variety of different perspectives. And the beautiful thing about stories is you can try things out for yourself and experience things yourself. But what's amazing about stories is that it gives you an opportunity, it gives us all an opportunity to try things on ourselves and envision what could that be like. And for us to see, is that something that we're interested in? Is that something we want to do? And so I'm excited for us all to get to share a story together. Yeah.
So let's head into the stories. Samantha, I wonder if you are available with camera as well.
Yeah. And Henrik, before we jump into the story itself, I'm going to just share this one slide on my screen here,
right.
just to give some grounding context. I think this will pull up here. So just in general, kind of without getting too much into the weeds, what we've done here is with the Food System Innovation Project is we all have this yearning for a more beautiful food system. How do we make things better? And what we've done is we've taken this program, this online program, and it's not just about talking the whole time. Part of it is we go offline and we actually connect, and we go out in the real world and we put theory into practice, and we come back together and we explore what unfolded. And the theory that's grounding this program is what would happen if we led with love instead of fear. And just a quick context on how this came about. Even it was actually students that taught this reframed way of being. Me personally, I used to be very focused on the things I wanted to change, very focused on what I didn't like. And what ended up happening was I'd created an entire company around how do we solve problems around carbon and climate. And when we were getting feedback from, when we ended up going live, students started reaching out, and we ended up creating a program to help students address their climate anxieties and be part of helping more people do their part, more people kind of drive change in the world. And the most unexpected thing happened when we asked students about problems in their community that they wanted to solve. The students were asking us how to take all these skills we were teaching them in the program and how to put it into a project. And I approached it the only way that I knew how, which was let's look for problems everywhere. And then we'll come together though and get our brains together and come up with all these different ideas. And then we can filter through our values and say, okay, this is the project we want to do. This is the way that we want to solve this problem. And what unexpectedly happened is not a single student could identify a problem in their community. They were all part of this program that was filled with a lot of anxiety about the state of the planet and wanting to make things better. But in our backyard, nothing seemed bad or broken to be fixed. And it didn't feel right for me to say, but what about this? But what about that? And start pointing out all the holes, because then that's all they would see is just a world full of holes, and nothing would ever be good enough. And we ended up falling back on our guiding philosophy, which is what would happen if you led with love instead of fear. And instead of looking for problems, we said, what would happen if we just looked at what exists? And so in the case of the students, it was the fact that you have food at your school, the fact that you have lights, the fact that you have air conditioning in the summer, heat in the winter. Just because this exists, regardless of what it takes to make all those things happen, what's the positive impact and positive ripple effects happening? And believe it or not, through these reflective prompts, the students were drawing conclusions that the fact that they have a waste system at their school is helping them make friends and get into college. And we were all blown away by this and said, how do we actually continue to make a change? How do we continue to do a project while leading with love? And we said, well, what if we actually went to go thank the people who are responsible for making all this goodness possible and ask them questions, got curious about their world, what it takes to actually make this happen, and provide them that positive feedback loop. And what ended up happening was the start of what we're just calling gratitude-based learning and innovation, where how do we make things better while getting more connected with our community, leading with a thank you, and learning through that exchange and that relationship building. What does a more beautiful world look like to them? What do they love about the world as it is today? And how do we create a brighter world for all of us? And so we'd been piloting this with students. Students had been applying this to redesigning their school systems. And we said, how do we actually now help adults do this? And we decided to start with an area near and dear to our hearts, which was food. And so this program has been a continued pilot of what is it like for all of us who have a yearning for a better food system? How do we lead with love instead of fear in doing so? And so every other month, we've been offering this pilot where people from around the world come together virtually to get more connected to their local food system. And whether that is a restaurant, a farmer, their neighbor, a family member, we lead with a thank you. We lead with gratitude and curiosity. And what unfolds is nothing short of beautiful. But what we realize happens is that all this wonderful theory, it's very different to then put it into practice. And what ends up happening is quite a bit of friction. And what's amazing is that when we sit with that friction and we share what that experience is like with others to actually do the thing that we're yearning to do, we realize we're not alone in experiencing friction in that process. But actually, by sitting with that discomfort and getting curious with ourselves and sharing that experience with other people in the group, other people in our community, remarkable things unfold. And I'm really excited for for people to share the stories of what's unfolded in their space through this journey of trying to do what their hearts are leading them toward. And so I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And Henrik, if you want to add anything, please jump in, but otherwise we'll have me stop talking and let other people share.
I think it's a good sign, Adam, because people want to talk and we want to share, right? And this is what we do in this space. We share and we listen in and really try to connect. So now it's time to hear from the participants in these last projects, what they learned or what they discovered or what's going on in that space. So Samantha, are you with us?
I am. I can't press the right button. I'm here.
There you are.
Can you see
now
me?
I can see you and I can hear you.
Okay.
So,
well, I got to sit with my friction like for the whole time this time. I've been amazed at, wow, so much friction. So anyway, I've continued with Gable Farms and it's just amazing every time I go. It's just today I planted like 120 garlic plants and we did 5,000 carrots. It's just amazing watching, different, stuff by hand, stuff with a machine, stuff. And he just teaches and he keeps teaching me and gives me, here's all these onions. They need to come out of the ground. They're going to go to compost. If you want them, take them. And I'm like, okay. So I'm just like barrels and barrels of onions and I'm just like handing them out all over town. And it's been fantastic. It's just I've talked to Adam, I've talked to Henrik, I've talked to Wyatt, trying to like formulate what I'm even going to say here, because that's why I'm scattered something, because it feels like, I got to tell you everything. But anyway, so you kind of get the feel of it's been fantastic and it continues to be fantastic. And I've been out there every day. And so that will continue, him teaching me how to be like a legit farmer, which is pretty fantastic. So, but what I wanted to talk about was our group, our first meeting, we talked about community and what that means. And I've just really been thinking on that the whole way through, what came to mind this morning was, build it and they will come. And I thought, I think that's like a superhuman thing to say. What if the community's already there? What if it's already built and we just need to show up? We keep talking about 99% of it is just showing up. What if we just need to show up and just do our thing, let our gifts flow, let our talents flow, let it be an organic thing and not feel like we have to build something so we can all be together. And I lament the fact that I don't have people in my physical space, but I have all of you guys and it's been absolutely amazing. I'm going to cry. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to cry. Okay. So, anyway, so that's, the community just around the onions, just me taking onions to my friends. This woman's going to make onion jam. And so she's going to give some back to the farmer, so it's like comes full circle. And so word about Gable Farms is getting out and it's just been just so cool. There's so many stories. And so I've just been taking pictures the whole time, like these glamour shots of shallots, it's like, look at how beautiful this onion is. It's like, I'm in love with the whole process. I'm in love with taking the pictures. I'm in love with telling the stories. Let's see. And I think I talked, it was Clay. We had an exchange about making meaning. He commented on my post and I've just really been thinking about that. I'm getting that from a source of somebody I've been listening to about making meaning. And I feel like that's been happening with all of this swirling amazingness and the friction that came with it, which was just so surprising. But just being able to be still and just go, okay, this is what it is. And then what's next? And then something else amazing happens. And I just keep showing up and more keeps happening. So I think I'm just going to end with that because I feel like I'm swirling. But so that's my scattered tale. It's been amazing. It's been amazing. My group was amazing from all over the world, and somebody waking up and somebody going to bed, and we're in the middle, and everybody showed up, and it was just, I'm so glad to see Charlie here because that was another bit of like community because I was he just had this hurricane come to his island, and I texted him or emailed and didn't hear. So I'm asking, Henrik's asking me, and that came from Cassie's mom, right? The email from before, so we were all looking for you, Charlie. I had my friend in Canada calling your church to see if we could find you. And then you popped up. So I'm so happy to see you. So anyway, that's my talk.
Thank you.
I'm dropping the mic now.
It's okay. It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. But just tapping into that space where you are, right? So much is going on. But what you just mentioned here in the end is community, right? When we can't get a hold of Charlie, we are like a bunch of us worried. I think that is the best sign that we actually created some community here. Even though we are online and we are from all over the world, we've gotten to know each other by now. And I think the reason why we get to know each other, because we sit with that friction that you also mentioned, it becomes kind of personal sometimes, but we dare to be vulnerable in this space and share whatever it is that we learn when we go out, right? And just, yeah, please.
I mean, it was just so funny because the friction was from stuff outside of, it was just avalanche of weirdness, like people dying, people being sick, people getting told they're going to die, and it's like none of it was me personally. Obviously, I'm still sitting here, but it's just like trying to, not be the fix-it for all these people because you can't, so this going to Gable Farms in the morning to water the seeds was an absolute, time to breathe. So that's where my friction is. Yeah.
So much goodness in having the luxury of having a place where you can go out and get your hands into the dirt, right?
Absolutely. Totally filthy all the time.
One thing to remember as well from all of the things that you share is that all of these sad news going on in the world, you being able to pick a surplus of onions that would otherwise be going into the compost and bring it to people around the town, and they now making jam and bringing that back to the farm. I mean, that is so much, how would you say, abundance, right?
Yes. I have half a cooler full of shallots if anybody's within driving distance. I can show them to you. They're beautiful. They look like flowers. Yeah. Anyway, so enough from me.
Just remember to tap into those little spaces where we have that abundance, because it's always present somewhere.
Absolutely.
So if you experience a lot of friction, go find that space. But let's move on and see, Catherine, are you with us? Are you able to put some camera on or some sound?
Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah.
So what did you learn from this last cohort? Or what would you like to share with other people from what this experience was like for you?
Well, it was actually quite an interesting process for me. I mean, I came in thinking like feeling like maybe I wasn't going to be doing it right, because I was going to be in 3 different places over the course of the course. And so I didn't know who I would be hooking up with, but several of them were family members. So I figured, well, that's what it's going to be, some family members to hook up with. And it was just an interesting process. I was having conversations with my mom, and I had previously made some suggestions about like maybe starting to think about growing some herbs or some vegetables in the backyard. And that's something that really hasn't happened since myself or one of my older brothers had lived there. And, you know, what I realized through the process was multiple things. Was one that if I make suggestions or like throw out ideas, I typically feel like they're not being heard. But then I realized later, oh, she did hear me. It just takes a while for her to process, think about it, come around to it in her own way. And like there was evidence that she was, you know, had started thinking about some things that she hadn't thought of before. So that was kind of nice. But also I realized that I come to these conversations like, I mean, okay, so I realized a couple things that when they say come in gratitude, it doesn't mean like I have to find something to thank my mom for before I sit down and talk about something. I mean, but I come with a spirit of gratitude. It can be that simple. And also that I tend to come, at least in the conversations that I had, as seeing a problem and throwing out what I see as a possible solution, which creates usually some of that friction of like, you know, I'm not there to actually implement and fix these things. So the ideas are kind of like, you know, they're not being rejected, but it seems like they're being rejected in the moment. And then, so I had a deeper awareness when I was talking with Wyatt. He's amazing with his ability to just listen to what you're saying and go, oh, so this is what's happening with you. And I'm like, oh, that I wanted to bring something of value. That's the way I was thinking of it. But he's like, you want to be valued. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So it was huge awareness for me in how I come to conversation, how I show up in conversations, and just a deeper awareness of how I'm showing up. So yeah, so it was pretty profound for me, really. But it was, you know, we talked about food, but it wasn't like out in the food system, you know, like farms and stuff. And that's partly why I felt like, oh, I wasn't going to be doing it right, because I wasn't like talking to a farmer, talking to a restaurant, it's like, you know, talking to my mom, like, you have a yard, there's dirt, we can
But
do
you
stuff.
see, I've said a few times in the previous cohort that you could also reach out to a grandmother, you know, because she's part of the food system, because she's cooking the food, right? And so really, really honor that space as well, right? It's not nothing less. It's really important as well to include that in the space of the food system. And I think what you did, I think you discovered that it is actually quite a challenge to hold that space of having that true, authentic curiosity conversation with a family member, right? It's not easier than reaching out to a complete stranger, because there's all these, you know, we've known each other for so many years, and now we have a preset idea about the other person. So actually what you did in this cohort was really a big challenge. I think you discovered that along the way.
Yeah, but I also learned a lot. So it was really quite a rewarding experience.
It may have come just at the end, that reward, but it would only have been possible because you put in the previous work in those 4 weeks, right?
Mhm. No, it's
So
definitely a process. Yeah.
it's a process, and at some point you get to that gold nugget, and then you just managed to get that, and so I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, thank you. And
Yeah.
yeah, and your facilitations and everything. Yeah, it was just it just felt really supportive being in the group and uh you know, self-exploration and exploring what other people are doing. And yeah, I enjoyed it very much.
There's a lot of dynamics in play, that's for sure. And thank you so much for being there. It was such a joy having you in the group. So, Adam,
Catherine. Yeah, well, I'll just
yeah,
add the what you just shared resonated so deeply with me, especially around that you don't need to necessarily always say thank you, but it's bringing that presence in. Because I used to, when I was first waking up to carbon and food, and I looked at everything as good meant less carbon. And so I came in with a lot of opinions around what was, quote, better. And just that aura, that energy of I know what's better, and it closes other people off. And even if it's not leading literally with a thank you, it's leading with that aura of humility and graciousness and curiosity. It opens everyone up, but it starts with opening myself up. And by opening myself up, others can open up too, and then that information can flow more freely. But otherwise, if I'm closed up, how can I expect them to be opened up? And almost like I have control over what they're going to do. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much going on in these spaces, and really, if you go there with an open mind, you'll get to explore. Adam, would you think it's appropriate to share the video with Charlie? If it's okay with
absolutely.
you, Charlie, that video is just so beautiful and so short and concise and precise and beautiful. It can't be said any better. So, with your permission, we would like to share that video. Sean, you have your hand up, please.
I wanted to, as long as Charlie's willing to share, I wanted to be a preamble to that video because you know I was in the last cohort and I didn't even know what I was getting myself into. I saw Charlie's video and I was like, I'm joining that community. I don't even know what they're doing, but I'm going to join that community. And so that's what got me excited about this last cohort and getting started. And I just wanted to kind of preface that. And I got to meet Charlie in the last breakout room. So what's that all about? You guys are planned all this, right?
Those were, believe it or not, those were randomized groups.
So pretty right on.
It all works out.
Let's can you share the screen, Adam, with that
I'm
video?
Yes.
Try to get that going. But yeah, this is synchronicities happening, right? I'm so happy. Some little thing makes the whole difference, right?
All right.
I ask you a question, Charlie.
Can you guys hear the audio?
Yes.
Awesome.
If you had to pass on something to other people for future cohorts, what is something you would like to tell them?
If I was to try to share anything with anybody, I would say, just if you don't know how to be present, then find somebody that can help you to learn to be present. Because I guess because it's so simple, I couldn't see it. So maybe I'll finish it this way. I showed up, I couldn't hear. I showed up, I couldn't see. I showed up, I was so numb I couldn't feel. But because you people are open, you helped me to see, you helped me to hear, and you helped me to feel. And I found that it was safe to do that. That means everything.
Thank you.
I hope that as I continue the process that I can be there for somebody else, that I can hold that space for them. So they feel safe to be authentic. And that's enough.
Beautiful, beautiful. So right now I see people clapping and cheering, and yeah, you know, this is because somebody dared to share their story, right? Charlie dared to share what he learned. Charlie dared to put a story out there. And so this is what this is also about. One thing is having our own experience through this cohort, but also how do we cause those ripple effect? How do we share it with the world? Whether that's through a photo or something written or a video like we recorded here with Charlie. So many ways of causing that ripple effect for something going on. So just because of this, we had Sean joining this program. Because Sean joined this program, he's now in contact with Clay, and it just goes on and on. It's so beautiful. So thank you, Charlie. Do we have Brooke as well here? Are you with us?
I am. I am.
Are you there? You are, Brooke.
Yes.
So you're actually not participating as a doer, but you joined the group as of the advisors. Could you just share a little bit about what was going on, or what was it like for you? Anything in your space?
Sure. So I joined the group having, just because from a time perspective, I wasn't sure I'd be able to join all of you doers. And because I'm fascinated with this space and want to contribute. And I, so initially, all along, I've been the only female in the group, surrounded by all of these lovely, gorgeous men. So women, if you are inclined, you're welcome to join me. So perhaps I have a slightly different perspective, but everybody was sharing brilliantly, and the insights that everybody provided came from a variety of different backgrounds, which was lovely, because what I noticed is the ages were different. We have some young people, and then we have some older people, and throughout, pretty much everybody was sharing very similar beliefs and ideas of things that they feel are wrong when you're changing, etc. And this coming from gratitude. I also, by the way, serendipitously, as Mark said, ended up in a room with Mark, and Mark is in the think tank, which was fabulous. I mean, it was very funny. Because what became abundantly clear rather rapidly is that all of us in this space, or many of us, certainly as the advisors, came from very successful backgrounds in the traditional way of making money, etc. And obviously there was a calling or something that everybody walked away from that, and walked away from their wealth, and walked away from their security, etc., to be in this space which is not supported by the systems at hand. And the thing that became abundantly clear was that finances are a huge issue that people are grappling with, because trying to make money in this space and stay afloat is not always easy. Now, having said that, at the same time, this coming from the space of gratitude, as I was just talking to Mark, it immediately puts you on a higher vibration. So you're starting from a space that is it's goodness and love and gratitude. So it's very difficult for people to respond negatively to you, because when you're putting that out, it automatically suggests to the world that that's what you should get back. And I have found that in all of this space, the evolution and growth of interpersonal growth has been enormous, because it's pushing us to actually grapple with issues that we need to overcome in order to be inclusive and bring more people into this space. And it's an overwhelming space, because when you look out in the world, you're looking at a lot of pain and fear and all these things. And yet, so if you, I love the fact that we're not looking at the problems, we're looking at the solutions, and we're looking at the results. And this, I think, is what the think tank, we're coming up with. How do we all, who are we in this space? It's being, we are being the change. And it is pretty much, as far as I can tell, the only way that we can actually change the world is to be that. So anyway, that was my take on all of it. And I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it also gives people a sense of, you can go out with this program and meet somebody locally taking real physical action. But you can also be in this space and connect and talking about what you could call the fluffy stuff,
Absolutely.
There's a space for that as well. So thank you so much for sharing.
You're so welcome. It's lovely. I love the unfolding.
Yeah. Let's see what's coming. Adam?
So yeah, so this was just wonderful. And we could share stories for literally days here. We're going to kind of transition here, and we have 30 minutes on the calendar. I know there are a couple hands up, which is perfect timing, because we're going to flow here into getting curious. What did you love? What are you curious about? And we're going to kind of open that up. And I know, Anne, I don't know if you've left already, but you mentioned you had to leave here momentarily and your hand went up. So I'll let you kick us off, and then we can kind of just flow from there. If you're still here, Anne. She might have had to leave.
Right.
But that's okay. But yeah, we'll just open it up to getting curious. So what did you love? What are you curious about from what you've heard?
Any comments, any questioning, any deepening question you would like to ask anybody? Samantha?
So I put in the chat, now where is this think tank? Where is this thing? I'm good at thinking and overthinking and all that side.
It's out there in the virtual web, We're meeting somewhere every second week.
Somewhere?
Yeah, somewhere in the virtual space out there.
That's pretty big. Okay, sounds exciting. All right.
So
well,
that's an opportunity. If after this program you sign up as an advisor, we'll invite you into that space and see what unfolds. So that there's a different aspect to it compared to being a doer. The doer, we go out and we try to have a curiosity conversation with a farmer, or with a restaurant or grocery store, anybody in the food system. Now, in the advisory group, we look at different questions or problems and try to address them. Mark, he's taking us, he's part of the advisory group as well, taking us into what's the principles of nature, you could say, really digging into what to learn from nature. So it's really interesting. And so, Mark, you have your hand raised. Would you like to share something?
Yeah, thank you. Just a very specific, and this is changing thread, so I'm not going to continue on what you were just talking about, but a very real curiosity for me that came up when I was thinking about Wyatt in the conversation, or just in the space today. Like, I haven't been drawn to connecting with Wyatt to come up with a story or to tell the story about my journey as a doer to the community, which I know is the main focus, and I understand why that is and the benefits of having those stories out in the community. But what was specifically curious for me today was, can I have a conversation with Wyatt that might help me essentially craft my internal story, knowing that having a really positive and constructive and encouraging internal story is such an important part of sort of that being and being in the ways that I want to be, etc. So that's what came up for me in the session today.
Wonderful. Yeah,
Thank you.
It's there was a surprise for me as well, because we're all learning what is this like to actually like learn about this theory of change and to go do it, and it's all a learning process. And when we started this, it's the expectation was that we're going to learn all these external stories. We're going to learn about all these regenerative best practices, and we'd be able to share all these stories about, well, what does this farm do? What does this restaurant do? And help communities kind of improve based on sharing from the best of the best in our communities. And what ended up happening was learning that that's just one of the three types of stories that seem to be unfolding. The first one is it actually ends up being this inner journey, this inner self. And then, then you'll learn some stories, some external stories about practices and things that unfold. Sam's learning a lot more than I know right now about farming. And those are some, I call those like the external stories. And then these third kind of grouping of stories is like just call them like the life stories of like, what are we learning about humanity? What are we learning about people in general and about the world by trying to move through the world this way? And so it feels like someone's like write a story or tell a story at the end of this experience. As Catherine shared, like the most profound thing can just be a reframing of the way that I personally see the world, because then we get to bring that into everything. And as much as we all want to measure the impact of everything, it's really hard to measure like the extent of impact of how a little shift in internal dialogue can shift everything. And so
Yeah.
I hope though too, with as we could see from Charlie's story, having a curiosity conversation with someone and recording that can become a story, and that little snippet can be taken. That's how I got woken up to the climate world in general, was a short Facebook video that I happened to watch halfway around the world. And so the power of just an organic conversation, an organic curiosity conversation being recorded, chopped up and shared. But if long form articles or photos is your medium, or writing a song is your medium, like there's so many different ways to tell story. But it was very unexpected, the internal journey that unfolds.
So actually, I see Dan having his hand raised, but also would like you to speak, Dan, to what it was like for you. You were in the previous cohort, and one of the things that you shared with us is that we don't have a fixed program in the way of this is the result. This is what you need to do. Here's the way to do it. This is a space where you need to find the answers yourself, whether that is to contact your mother or a farmer, or figuring out how to contact them. We are here just to help you and facilitate. That was some of the feedback that you gave us. I wonder if you could speak to that as well. I don't know what the other question or thing that you would like to comment on, but I'll pass it to you, Dan.
Yeah. Thank you, Henrik, and everyone. I think I'd like to answer that question by the thing that I was wanting to comment on, which was Samantha's comment about community already exists. I love that. And You know, I think part of the reason, it occurs to me that part of the reason that we don't experience community is because, like Adam was talking about, we're looking for problem solving. We're not really connecting to our internal, as Mark was talking about, our internal story. And problem solving is not very rich way of connecting with each other. You know, it really reduces things further and further and further, seems to me. And curiosity and stories have a way of opening up and opening us up to the community that's, as Samantha was saying, that's already there. So so that's why, those are my thoughts. Appreciated the comment.
Right. And so opening up to what this really is, I think one way of putting it is that this is a half-baked cookie, right? We don't have everything sorted out, but if you join this process, there's one way of finishing the cookie so it becomes delicious, but it takes your participation in that. So I think that's important to explain, that in this space that we try to create, there's an opportunity for participating in what direction to take it. Okay. Adam, how are we on time?
I will say Clay, and Linda wants a cookie. Me too. I'll say Clay. Clay just raised his hand. I think Clay shares, and then we'll share some more info about the program and what's unfolding here, and then afterward, we'll keep the line open for people that want to stay and connect and explore. But Clay, do you want to?
We have an after party, so at the bottom of the hour we'll need to end the official part of this event. But for those who like to hang around and ask questions or just chat or connect, I'll keep the space open for you. Okay. So, Clay, your turn.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna share necessarily, but what Dan just said, and that Sam, you identified with this community already being here. It's just been such a wild experience to me. I've had different phases in life where I'm really connected to synchronicity and everything's unfolding in this like, whoa, awe-inspiring way. And other phases where maybe I'm a little more closed off to allowing that type of energy to flow. And this whole thing, this whole program has been just a series of synchronicities to me. And I recognize that it's as has been said already, it's a bunch of open people coming together in a vulnerable way. And like, so I just want to give voice to that and say that I'm incredibly grateful for all of you amazing people. And I hope I get to connect with everyone. And that what comes to mind as community is related to synchronicity is that it's all unfolding synchronistically. And so it's just our restructuring of our internal dialogue and all this stuff that allows us to actually tap into it and connect on a sort of a different, deeper level. And that's super cool. I think I mentioned in some comments, like just like kind of after watching the cohorts, I'm like, oh, this is a spiritual group. Or maybe a spiritual group that doesn't know it's a spiritual group, or just doesn't want to give it that language. And I love that. Like, I love the different aspects of finding different language to address these things. But the synchronicities abound, you know, like I watched the Need to Grow yesterday, who my partner, Ashley, who she's sitting by me, but she's hanging out, brought into the realm. And it was like, I read Adam's post, who I think you mentioned it a while back, was like, oh, logged it in the back of my head. Like, need to check that out. And then Ashley brought it in. And then who do I get paired up with is Linda, who's apparently working with Eric Cutter. And it's just like, this stuff is just so cool. And this community, I'm so curious. I've shared this with you, Adam, a bunch. I'm just like so excited and curious to see where this leads. Cause this is it. I shared this with Adam and Henrik the other day. And Thich Nhat Hanh, famous Buddhist teacher, he says the next Buddha is the Sangha. And the Buddha isn't the person, it's this nature of gratitude, this quality that this group is bringing in. And this is, I've been doing like an independent study sort of thing. And so I feel like I've been missing out a little bit on the where the rubber meets the road, the actual community part, I think is really important. So how do we bring that into our own communities is the question it raises for me, and what I was talking with Adam and Henrik. And it's just inspiring to be like, okay, like I can facilitate that. And anyways, that's just wanted to share that. I appreciate all y'all, and it's been great. And I can't wait to participate more on whatever levels pop up,
Amazing. Thank you for sharing, Clay. And you see, if somebody can get excited just from following the concept or the program from a distance, so to say, or online, I'm so happy for you sharing that, Clay, and that you were able to tap into what's in this space, what's in this energy that we're trying to create. And hopefully I'll see you in one of the cohorts in the future. That's where you get the real special sauce. So
yeah,
over to you, Adam.
This is just, I could do this for days. This is amazing. You guys are amazing. And so, yeah, the amorphous, like, what is this? This is something that we, what is this? And so this pilot program, want to give a little bit more context to like, what is this? And where are the steps from here to get involved? So I'm going to just share my screen. So on the whole, this is an online program for offline action. And so what we're doing is we're creating systems change through gratitude-based learning. And the ask in the program is to initiate a curiosity conversation, not an interview where someone's on the hot seat getting grilled, but instead a curiosity conversation that's centered with this literal or figurative like aura of gratitude with anyone in your local food system. And so we put this out where you choose who it's going to be. You use this program as an excuse to connect with anyone that you want to connect with in your local food system, and to start with a thank you, and to see what insights any of those three stories, that personal journey, the external stories, or just the learnings about life that uncover through this journey of gratitude and curiosity. And the way that we help in the program is it's a 4-week program, and we offer this support group in this journey. And so we meet once a week for 75 minutes on Zoom, or Google Meet technically, but Zoom is like the Kleenex of tissue paper, I guess. But so yeah, we meet once a week for 75 minutes and we support one another. It's very, very discussion based. And to help prepare for those conversations, we offer reflective questions and surveys to help just frame our thinking. And we also provide resources to help initiate those conversations, which includes emails that people have sent out to initiate those. Like I literally was at a restaurant and wanted to try to find the words, and I pulled up some sample emails and used that language as a way to initiate the conversation. But so in addition to that, in the program, we also provide one-on-one coaching support to support with any of that friction that might arise. And so Henrik offers, he's a trained facilitator in what's called Psych K, which is, I best describe it as energy guided self-listening. And so just like going to the gym with a trainer versus going to the gym on your own, you can go do the workout on your own, but when you have that space with someone who's there dedicated to holding that space and guiding you through the journey, the potential is exponential. And so I utilize that resource throughout the week, and Henrik has been gracious enough to offer that as a free unlimited resource to doers in the program. And so we've been saying doer and advisor. What we mean by that is, so there's, call it two tracks one can take from here in terms of active involvement. One is as a doer, and what that means is joining the 4-week program. And so that means joining going and initiating curiosity conversations in your community. We're meeting once a week, and that is starting in 2 weeks here. So tomorrow morning, everyone that registered for this, and we're going to post it publicly in Farmers Footprint and the Mighty Networks as well, link to register and sign up as a doer. The other track here is as an advisor, and it's not really other, it's or, or it's and or. So after the program, we have these updates once every 6 weeks where we share what's going on in the space. But what we've also started to do is, if you are, I would call that the passive advisor. If what we're doing here and how we kind of create this more beautiful world is something you want to more actively get involved with, where rather than meeting once a week, you still want to have a more hands-on joining calls and the think tank, reach out to Henrik about that. And in the survey that comes out around registering for your interest, just indicate that interest in the form. And so those are kind of the two tracks here. We recognize, though, that not everyone has the time for joining a 4-week program. Not everyone has the time for filling out surveys. That doesn't mean you cannot be inspired by having gratitude-based curiosity conversations and things as simple as the literal thank you and curiosity to your grandma who's making dinner, or going to a restaurant and literally thanking the chef and asking a question and seeing what unfolds, or even just sharing a thank you and gifting that to the chef, which they might not always get. And so what we'd encourage everyone in general, and we're going to start populating these in the hub as well on Farmers Footprint, is there's a tag called Food for Thought Stories. And so as you're going through this experience, whether it's your personal journey, the stories you're learning about, or just the lessons of life that unfold, we encourage you to share that in the hub. And yeah, so as a doer, as an advisor, just as a general human being who's experimenting with this different way of being, these are the ways that you can continue to gift to this initiative. In general, though, this project runs on the gift economy, and so there's a variety of different ways to gift. So you can gift your perspective, which is fill out that survey, and you can give feedback, share what's in your space, reach out to us. We're always here. If you want to talk about this stuff literally anytime, reach out, and we'll have the one-on-one advising calls. You can gift your skills. So if you've heard someone here that has a story, and maybe you are great at writing articles, maybe you're a photographer, maybe you're just someone to talk to, and you say, hey, I'd love to hear your story and we can record it, you can gift that skill to help with that storytelling and gift that skill to this community. You can gift your time by spreading the word. And then also financially, you can give dollars to helping us run this program. We don't charge anyone to participate in the program. That should by no means be a barrier to experiencing this. And so afterward, you can gift to pay it forward. And so it costs about $100 per person to run the program. But whether you're gifting one time or recurring, we'll put those links out there in the with the link for the survey to register, so that to whatever extent you want to gift to this initiative, you can find your avenue. So we already said that. So what we're going to do here to close things out, there's this fantastic video that Henrik found that really summarizes this. What are we doing here with this half-baked cookie, and what are you doing here? This is this is not my thing. This is not Henrik's thing. This is our thing, and we're collectively learning how to take this theory of change and bring it into our lives, bring this into the world, and we all have a very special role to play in this. So I'm going to play this video and just take note of where do you maybe see yourself here.
Right. And there's a couple of you who've seen the video before, but it was seeing it again and just really go deep with where this applies, you know, and how deep it really goes. There's so much to learn from this on so many levels, and just tap into that space, please. And after that, we'll be closing off this call, and then there's time for the after party for those who like to hang around.
And Henrik, just let me know if the audio is not working here.
Ladies and gentlemen, at TED, we talk a
All
lot
good.
about leadership and how to make a movement. So let's watch a movement happen, start to finish, in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons from it. First, of course, you know, a leader needs the guts to stand out and be ridiculed. But what he's doing is so easy to follow. So here's his first follower with a crucial role. He's going to show everyone else how to follow. Now notice that the leader embraces him as an equal. So now it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Now there he is calling to his friends. Now if you notice that the first follower is actually an underestimated form of leadership in itself. It takes guts to stand out like that. The first follower is what transforms a lone nut into a leader. And here comes a second follower. Now it's not a lone nut, it's not two nuts, 3 is a crowd, and the crowd is news. So a movement must be public. It's important to show not just the leader, but the followers, because you find that new followers emulate the followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, and immediately after, 3 more people. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point. Now we've got a movement. So notice that as more people join in, it's less risky. So those that were sitting on the fence before now have no reason not to. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, but they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. So over the next minute, you'll see all of the those that prefer to stick with the crowd, because eventually they would be ridiculed for not joining in. And that's how you make a movement. But let's recap some lessons from this. So first, if you are the type, like the shirtless dancing guy, that is standing alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals. So it's clearly about the movement, not you. Okay, but we might have missed the real lesson here. The biggest lesson, if you noticed, did you catch it? Is that leadership is over-glorified. That yes, it was the shirtless guy was first, and he'll get all the credit, but it was really the first follower that transformed the lone nut into a leader. So as we're told that we should all be leaders, that would be really ineffective. If you really care about starting a movement, have the courage to follow and show others how to follow. And when you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first one to stand up and join in. And what a perfect place to do that, TED. Thanks.
So, I mean, I have chills right now because I know I'm not the only, I've had conversations with just a lot of people here who, in one way or another, maybe we felt like the lone nut in this space. And I'm just really grateful to have found each of you. And together we're doing some pretty amazing things. And the half-baked cookie metaphor, just, it feels so right, because the more we bake it, we're starting our 5th cohort here. Every time we bake it, that cookie gets denser and denser and denser, and more people want to take a bite out of that cookie. And that's where we're at right now, is we've got an even denser half-baked cookie. And in this next cohort, we're going to see who likes it extra chewy, who likes it a little more cooked. And based on that feedback, based on that collective experience, this is going to be I think it was the Pizookie, those little cookie cakes. It's just amazing. So.
Yeah. So if people would like to sign up, Adam, or would like to find more information, where do they go?
So just
I put my email in the chat. And
yeah,
you can find
I'm
me
going to
there.
just make it extra simple for right now. We're going to be sending out an email. Everyone will get a notification, but I just put the survey link in here. And I also more or less this is what's going.
And it's safe to fill it out, because I will get in contact with anybody who fills it out and to confirm dates and whatever. But it's definitely a way of getting in contact with us, and we'll try to organize what days fits according to your calendar, and so we'll just be in touch.
And if this is something that you want to share with others too, we're going to be putting out the recording of this as well. And what I also added there was just kind of a landing page for this project. So if this is something that you want to share with others as well, please spread the word. The ripple effects spread wider and deeper than we could ever imagine. So I have to jump here, sending so much love to all of you, but the after party continues, so the space will remain open. Okay.
Thank you so much, everybody, for those who have to jump. Thank you, Adam, for leading us and taking us through this. And let's see if there's somebody who would like to hang around and chat. And seems like we got a few people here. What did you learn from that video? You know, what did that tell you? Or where did that resonate with you? Or anything else that's in your space that you would like to share? Gabby, you have a hand up.
Yes, I realized I'm a nut.
Yeah.
and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it.
Even better.
Yeah. That's all. I was also really curious about what Douglas is doing within his community, and just that message in the chat. I want to see how I can get involved.
Yeah. So do we have Douglas in this space? Is he still with us? Let's see, there's people placing. Yeah, he's supposedly here. I don't know if he is available because of the situation. If he can chat, he'll just ask you to unmute yourself and come into the space. But other than that, anybody else would like to share something? Okay. Charlie, could I ask you? How's it going?
Hello, everybody.
Are you
I'm
in your
hanging
home?
out in my basement.
You're hanging.
What's that?
You're in the basement. Okay.
I'm in the basement. I don't have any electricity, so I'm running off a generator.
Right.
So
Where?
I'm a nut who's living in the dark. What do you call? I'm a mushroom, I guess. I'm living in the dark.
Could you tell people about where you are so we have an idea, because not everybody knows where you are in the world?
I live on the east coast of Canada, a place called Prince Edward Island.
And something
They
happened
call it the
about
birthplace of Canada.
Right.
And so I don't know if it's important, but we just survived the worst storm in the history of Prince Edward Island. It was a hurricane that came up the coast. And talk about devastation. I had over 50 trees down around my house.
Wow.
And I have a farmer that lives across the street from me. He had 150 cows in his barn, and the barn came down. And none of the cows got hurt, but the barn's gone.
I saw that in the news, actually. That was your neighbor.
And his corn crop, it just ripped the corn right off. There's just stalks left. There's no corn left to feed them. So I don't want to go on and on about that. So what I wanted to say was, it's changed my. I looking through the farmer's footprint with a different lens. One of the things I would like to, one of the things I'm learning is I need to get prepared. There's, Gabby was sharing that she's looking at some stuff there in California with fires and stuff like that, and rivers drying up, and we could all go around and we could all tell similar stories. But it's so important, I guess, how would you say this? Having regenerative farming and having really good nutrition keeps you grounded.
Right.
But so the other part I wanted to add to this is, after the storm, I climbed up on my roof and I looked around and I said, how am I going to deal with this? This is insane. My whole property is just covered in trees. I was like, and I haven't used a chainsaw in years. So next thing I know, I have 3 people here with chainsaws.
Mhm.
And then I have people here pulling brush, and this has been going on now for 10 days.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so the sense of community, that when you played that video of me talking about the presents, and I started to cry, and I was like, why am I crying? And I just realized I have so many people that care about me and my family, that
Yeah.
that's a real blessing to realize we all care so much for each other. That's really important.
Mhm.
And I wanted to tell Sam, back in the caveman days, there was a lot of friction. And then one day it started a fire.
Yeah. That's a way to
keep
create
going to the
fire.
friction, because your fire is amazing.
Oh,
So
it's
thank
good
you.
to see that you are having your spirit still jolly. That's great. I've been worried about you, and a lot of people have. We couldn't contact you. I mean, and for so long. That's insane. Brooke, I see you have your hand open. Oh, up.
I first of all, I wanted to tell you, Charlie, I just can't imagine, but my heart goes out to you and everybody else who's been through this hurricane situation. Unfortunately, so often the fastest way for communities to get together is through devastation and pain. But that wasn't actually what I wanted. How all of us, this is the spiritual community, and this whole really gratitude creates that space within ourselves, and we're using food as the reason for this. It's almost like we're using food as our community. And I just started to really feel that way, because also I keep hearing from people who tell me that when they come into communities such as this, that they feel so wonderful because they can actually share and not worry about the words coming out of their mouths. So, in other words, they can speak, know that they won't be judged, can actually share what's on their mind. And I don't know about all of you, but I certainly through this process have had moments of having to look at myself and feel rather insecure about whether or not anything I say has value. And then I have to have that conversation with myself about, oh, this is baggage that I am bringing into this, this is all in my head. And yet when everybody else starts sharing, I think, oh, but that's exactly how I feel. And I think that's the whole point, is to provide these spaces where we can all be authentic and vulnerable and talk. I mean, just talk, communicate, feel heard, as Charlie said, the eyes, the ear, it's all of that. So I just cherish everything that has been happening in this space and is unfolding, because I'm certainly learning so much about myself as well. And I'm sure everybody else is as well. So thank you. And thank you for the space. And thank you, Henrik, for all you have done.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
So amazing. So amazing. So I see now Douglas wanting to share something.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, good. Because for some reason my video is just not working. Sorry I haven't been participating lately. We sold our house and closed on the last of August here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And I'm now living in a 34-foot trailer on a 40-acre property. Tomorrow, people show up and we start building our barn dominium and get started with the future here in Colorado Springs. And as you know, I have been working sustainability and things for a number of years. On Saturday, through the church I'm going to, we opened up what we call radicalresilience.health, which we have a website under that, radicalresilience.health. We have been working with the church as the foundation for what we were starting with, to get a resilient community, basically a shadow government started, which of course has food as one of its primary Maslow hierarchy of needs. And we kind of expected 50 people on Saturday. As I opened the doors, I had 260 people come through, and I had to throw up more tables and chairs. And luckily, I had some men that were there. They cooked a bunch of eggs and pancakes and got out the coffee, and we got it divided into 9 pillars. And I say that because although food is a crutch of what we're doing in this group here, we've done as food as much as food is health, food is medicine, food is a sustainable resource. As you know, in nature, everything is holistic. And if you walk into or accidentally pull the side of a cobweb, everything moves. We're all connected. And I showed a little 19-year-old, a young lady, 19 years old here in Colorado Springs, who had an acre of ground around her house. She is now growing a garden, has rabbits, chickens, eggs, compost, and is getting started with our homesteading group that we stood up on Saturday to teach people how to do that here in Colorado Springs, where only 1% of the food is grown. Everything else is imported from over 1,500 miles away. So I was originally going to show what I know, which is ugly, as far as what does the future for food look like due to what's going on in the world with the droughts and the lack of fertilizer, which I don't support anyway, but you still got to feed people, and things that are going on. Instead, I opted for showing what she could do and the positive part that comes to when people literally come together, share their knowledge, and work together as a community, which we're trying to promote here. Coming away from that meeting, I've been invited to 3 other cities in Colorado, and we're going back to Nashville in October to the Western A. Price Foundation, Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund, Joel Salatin, and some others that are friends of mine, to actually present that at a national basis. So things are moving, and I totally thank God and the people that we've been working with for all the successes we've been having, and the fact that people now seem to understand that we need a community, and a community is local, and we need to get away from anything that's trying to control us at a national level.
Thank you so much for sharing, Douglas. Could I ask you to put in the chat a website or where people can find more information about you? I have the pleasure of being in contact with Douglas for a while, and he's also a member of the advisory group that we have, though he's been pretty busy, so he hasn't been able to contact. But I know that Douglas is he's such a capable, how would you say, he's a person with such extraordinary capability, and I really hope that we can get to tap into what he can bring to this space as well. And when we were talking about something here, Charlie, you said being prepared. You know, we need to be better prepared. Douglas, he knows a lot about that, and so maybe you two should get together and talk, because one has a lot of wisdom, and another has a lot of desire, and another has a lot of other information, and somebody simply got 2 hands. Together, we can do a lot, you know. And just like you said, Douglas, the communities or the groups are already there. In many cases, the churches, right? It's a place where people have already been organized. It's not needed to go out and create it. It's already there. Finding that space and opening up the space in a way so that we can be welcome and share our stuff, that's maybe different. But let's go out and find those spaces. It's not that everything has to be created from scratch. But Denise, maybe you would like to share something because you moved as well, right? And so you're in a new space, and how do you connect in a new space? Finding people, etc. Could I ask you to share a little bit about that, maybe, or anything that you would like to share?
Actually, I haven't moved, but the foundation that I'm working with that is doing something similar to what Douglas is talking about is in the Cave Creek area. So we're already working on acquiring the land, and that's where we're stopped right now. And just to be able to get that land purchased, and then be able to go ahead and get the school and the permaculture, and we have the people. We just now need the land, and our goal date is October 30th. So we're just pretty much, and and then there's all the connections of what did you find out, what's working, what's not working, what's the best way to go about it. So right now we are at a standstill. We have enough funding to we're looking for one or two additional investors to make this happen. So if everything goes,
maybe you, Denise, you need to reach out to Brooke.
I see that.
Yeah, because some people, they are looking for those communities, and if you've found community already who is just ready and wanting to go, but they need that little thing that maybe others have, and they don't have the hands or the brains, right? Whatever is needed, let's share so we can put people together.
We have a lot, and we could use more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And that's why these spaces, it's really important that we share what's in our spaces. And then I have a chance to, Clay need to connect with Sean, and that's only possible because we have an idea about what's going on in Sean's space and in Clay's space and what Samantha's got cooking, then that's possible. Otherwise it wouldn't be. So what else? Somebody would like to share something or ask a question, or please, this space is yours as well. What's the other? Yeah. Gabby, please just jump in.
Okay. I want to be polite. Just hearing these stories about these communities, it's actually something I've dreamed up of, but never. I just felt alone in all of this, and I'm currently studying microorganisms in soil, and learning the composting and how to regenerate soil, and it's just so beautiful to see. Once again, the communities are already here. I just have to find a way to show up, and it's funny that Colorado is getting mentioned, and I've been looking heavily into moving to Colorado in the very near future, just haven't figured out the how, the logistics, since being laid off from my job. So looking for new opportunities, ways to get involved. Would love to connect once I'm in Colorado, and especially get involved with the church as well. I think that's a fantastic way to see a community that has already been created and has a belief, a faith system already in, and wants to lead with love, and then seeing an issue that has, come about and involves all of us, utilizing the church community to bring this movement to life is such a beautiful thing. So great job to those of you who have already gotten started. I hope to get involved in one way or another, and in any way possible.
Could I ask, how did you end up in this space today?
I just sort of stumbled upon Farmer's Footprint, and then I was, looking through the platform and saw that there was meetings. I actually wanted to join last month, and I think the scheduling, it just didn't fit, and I was open today, so I hopped on the call, and here I am.
Oh, yeah. Great. Thank you for being here. So if I had to ask you, what is it about this farmer's footprint or this concept here? What was it that spoke to you about the showing up? Or if I could be curious to ask you this,
Yeah.
you know,
I think for me, it's really about just taking a step. I actually felt really stuck recently. Just started planning. Oh, okay.
It's okay.
And at some point, you have to just take a step and show up. So
Right.
thank you, Samantha, for saying that, because that hit me hard. To just take a step and see what happens, because you can only plan so much and do so much on your own. But then when you step into a community, you see so many other possibilities. It's coming out of that contracted self and expanding your mindset, expanding yourself to see what other opportunities and possibilities there are around you.
Samantha?
So, Gabby, I mean, it literally, for me at this farm, it literally was me just showing up at this guy's fence, and he was there working on his irrigation. And I said, oh my gosh, are you a regenerative? Because I noticed his rows were flat, and I'm like, ooh, he's got to be a regenerative guy, right? And he was, and I just said, wow, I saw this video about you, and I was just inspired, and I said, can I come help? And that was in June. And he's like, okay, here's some rows. You take care of them. You do it. I'll teach you how to do it. Oh, you can take 2. Well, take 4. I don't care. Let's fill the whole thing, And so it's just like, wow, so it literally was just showing up and being excited. And I said the most stupid thing when I got to the fence. I said, my name's Samantha, and I was destined to meet you. And I'm like, what? I mean, it was just the weirdest thing coming out of my mouth. And I was thankful he didn't arrest me. But so, and it was just stupid and fun. And so literally just be yourself, whatever that is. And this first step is scary, but once you do it, you realize, oh, that wasn't so bad. But anyway, but I just did want to share this. Look at this scallion. Can you see how beautiful it is? Have you ever known how they grow? I mean, I'm just like overwhelmed with the beauty of everything. So like I said, I've been taking glamour shots of all my produce that I'm pulling out of the ground and sharing. So anyway, just wanted to share my scallion, and Gabby, just do it. And it's just it is scary, but it's so amazing what happens when you just let it flow and just be yourself. So
I think
thank you.
You're tapping in here to something that's really, really, essential or deep. When we are talking about community, that thing about loneliness, we need to understand it in many ways, right? Because one thing is that you can be among dozens of people and you can still feel lonely. Unless you find those people where you can actually, like you share here openly, like Brooke said, without thinking about being judged, or when you feel that somebody actually understands you, that's when you break that loneliness. And so finding that space, whether that is online or anywhere else, is really, really, really important. The medical or the science is pretty clear on this, that it is worse than smoking and drinking together, feeling lonely. The damage it does on our body, on our minds, and on so many levels is really, really big. So recognizing that we need to go out there and find that other person or this community wherever you feel space for sharing, and that's important on so many levels that I don't really think we understand. I see Douglas raising his hand, please.
Yeah, I just want people not to be spooked off by the fact that, yes, I have a Virginia number. That's because I'm a former Army officer, executive officer of Allied Command Europe, and the pandemic flu plan that was written in 2005, I wrote under the Weapons of Mass Destruction Department of Defense. Going forward, that is what really catapulted me into looking at the fact that we needed to turn into producers instead of consumers. That sooner or later, it'll all come down to the fact that we need to produce. We need to be able to produce a community and produce enough to feed a community, and hence the shift of direction. So one, don't let that spook you off. I hung on to that number just as a reminder. Brooke, I'll get in touch with you. We are here in Colorado and moving what we call up the Front Range, and we'll ultimately try to incorporate hubs in every city. And we've already established one in Moscow, Idaho. We've already established one with my good friend Joel Salatin. They're around Stanton, Virginia. I'm friends with Gabe Brown, Greg Judy, all those. I knew all those people when I first started farming. So there's a lot of knowledge out there that can be shared, and communities have got to be able to set it up, and it's got to be a template that everybody can use and export to other communities, because we can't afford to be an island. We have to work together, first locally, then regionally, then nationally, and then reaching out like I did to Henrik when we first got talking, going, wow, I want to come down to Ecuador and come see you. But I actually went and saw Alan Savory in Zimbabwe and wrote the Maasai tribe's plan for raising cattle, and also was on the sustainability conference with Botswana, who used to be great producers, and then the government kind of led them down astray. So we've got to get back to that, or we're going to have some real problems coming. So don't let the magnitude of what's ahead of us scare you off. Start locally, and if it's just you and your neighbor, so be it, and keep moving.
Right. Yeah. And you're talking about producing. So I wonder, Brooke, you have one of the keys when it comes to producing, which is fertilizer, some organic fertilizer. And then when we talk about regenerating farming, we're talking about regenerating life in the soil. And I think you have tapped into some very important ingredient there. Could I ask you to share what that is?
Absolutely. Thank you, Henrik. And yes, my husband and I come from the alternative health industry, between us over 50 years in that industry. And so we're very well versed on all sorts of aspects or dysfunctions in the medical industry. But bringing that, the one thing that we wanted to do was to grow healthy, nutritious, biologically active food. Without boring you with the story, we have access to a consortia of soil-borne organisms that was created 45 years ago, which we wanted to put back into the soil so that it would get back into the food. And miraculously, my husband put together this fertilizer, and the magic is the soil-borne organisms. But it also has in it alpaca manure, 90 ocean minerals, 80 fulvic and humic minerals, amino acids, vitamins, and minerals. And then it has the the consortia of soil-borne organisms. We we've had trials, we've used it over the last 2 years. And to be honest, the results have been absolutely miraculous. We've grown in sand and clay and grown incredibly nutritionally dense food per the bricks, using bricks as our measurement. We have tried it. It's also been used on cannabis plants, and it finishes the plants 2 weeks earlier than normal. It's been grown on organic soil, and it's been grown for hay fields, used in hay fields. And across the board, it does truly miraculous things. So at the moment, we've shipped some of the ingredients we can't use. We obviously can't ship the alpaca manure, but alpaca manure is in a lot of places. And in fact, we're sending some to Henrik so that he can grow using this fertilizer in his domain. We've also got some out to New Zealand. We have somebody in South Africa who wants to try it. So and of course, we really wanted to sell here domestically, but it seems that I've been in all these international groups, so it kind of is taking off internationally. But anybody who truly understands the microbiome understands that we have to get these bacteria back into the soil and into our food. So talking about nutritionally dense food is a whole nother subject in and of itself. But anyway, so I wanted to thank you for giving me that forum, Henrik. And
could I ask you to put your website in the chat?
Yes,
so people can find more
absolutely.
information.
Oh, thank you so much.
But I think to sum it up, you know, when we eat a carrot or anything, it won't be accessible to our body if it wasn't because of the biome that we have in our gut. If it wasn't for all the bacteria and stuff, that food would not be accessible. And the latest understanding in what's going on in the soil is that that is needed as well. For a plant to go and get all the nutrients, it can't just suck up nutrients. It needs bacteria to present the nutrients in a way that it can actually access those. So whether you eat a carrot that has those nutrients or not is really important for your health. And so we need to go back until understanding life in soil. And life in soil is not just, you know, one strain of bacteria. It's a lot of fungus and bacteria all in one thing. So Brooke and her husband is really digging into something really important here.
Just to add, I mean, everything is balance. And what these bacteria do is they bring balance back into soil and into plants. And that's what it's all about, in my opinion. We can learn if we just really understand the systems of nature, then we would understand everything, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's so simple. Any answer you want to find, just go look in nature. It doesn't really matter what we're talking about. Just go look in nature, and if you can't find it, it's because you're not looking deeply enough. That's a simple way to put it. So, wonder if anybody else got more to share, or if Samantha.
Just one going. Little back to Gabby. Just you were talking about too, Henrik, the loneliness thing. The thing that has been so helpful to me was the sitting with the friction with my own self, the internal part of this. You know, when you can find the place that you realize you have something to add, whatever it is, that makes it so much easier to go out there, because when you don't have the self-value, knowing that your talents are needed, you're needed. And just that recognition for me has been so life-changing. And it's really worth sitting with yourself, taking some time to be with yourself, to be quiet, and to just appreciate you showed up here during this time, and here we are. So let's figure it out together, and we all have something to add. So I think that has just been important for me, and I just felt like sharing. So.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing so much truth and what everybody's sharing. It's so magic, the energy in this space. So anybody would like to have any other comment? Clay, Charlie, please.
Yeah, I need to go get warmer. I was coming across the word sing as I read my scriptures. And so I did a little search, and Google says in the Bible alone, there's over 400 times where it mentions singing. And I was really pleased. So I started to rewrite a bridge for a song that I wrote. It was inspired by Dr. Bush. It's called It's Never Too Late. And the bridge just didn't feel like, after 2-3 years, I figured, oh my, when am I going to? So finding out, I wanted a seed planted in my heart. And every one of you has brought nutrition and sun and water into my heart. And that seed is now growing into a tree. And I can see the day where I would be able to taste the fruit of that tree.
Right.
And it's going to be delicious. So thank you for everybody. I'm so glad. I didn't know if my old phone would work. I'm so glad that it did. And so thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Charlie. We'll be in touch. I hope you continue in the program. You are so much welcome, at least. And please let us know if we can do anything to help you out. We are here to support in whatever way we can, okay? Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye now.
And so, Clay, do you have something you would like to end this call with?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, mostly I'm just, sitting and just soaking all this in and enjoying the reflections. It very much feels just like mirrors. We're all just mirrors, and there's so many levels of goodness, and I love it. Super grateful to be here. I don't think I have anything I can really add to it, So yeah, love you all. Glad to be here, and yeah, much gratitude. I hope I get to talk with all of you just more, and I just have the strongest sense that all of this is this is it, this is it. We're all doing it, and it's all going to become something really great. And yeah, I feel that. So thank you all.
We're making a seed into a tree. So
yes, yeah.
Let's keep doing that, and I hope to see you around. I really enjoy these spaces, and thank you so much for making it possible. It's only possible because you showed up. So huge gratitude, and take care of each other out there, and see you around, okay? Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Did you say something,
Bye.
Denise?
Yeah, I just said I'll leave as soon as I can figure it out. I figured it out.
Oh, actually, I wondered, you were in contact a couple of weeks ago, or is it a month? So I can't remember. Time flies by. But is there something you would like to talk about?
Yeah, I would love to do the Psych-K, and then I also am noticing that I'm missing the advisor meetings. So I'm like, oh shoot. I don't know if it's just because I'm missing the email or something, but I'm like, definitely want to be on the next advisor meeting. And then I would love to do a Psych-K session because I'm hanging out with a boyfriend that he and I have been on and off boyfriends for boyfriend-girlfriend for 11 years. And the last time I saw him was 6 years ago. It's been 6 years, and I reintroduced the thing. And yeah. So I was like, oh, okay. And man, I'm learning a lot. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're welcome, for sure. I think previously we had the register as an advisor year. And so I guess I was in doubt about if you were busy or what was going on in the space. So yeah, I had this idea that you were moving and becoming a nanny or something, and so things were busy, and that's why I wasn't bothering asking too much.
Yeah, I am a nanny. So my schedule has changed, which,
Right.
taking my own responsibility, I missed it because there's a lot going on and it's
Right.
okay,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
definitely, this is a connection that I really like and continue to want to be part of. So,
Okay.
however I can do it while incorporating new things.
Mhm.
But yeah, I
Mhm.
actually get to stay where I'm at right now while I
Right.
nanny. So that works.
Okay. But if you can do the survey, fill
I
it
will.
out so I have some ideas about your times and your schedules.
Okay.
And if you would like to do the Psych, please just reach out. Let's find a date.
Okay.
Whenever it works.
And
That's
is the best way to do that is to do that via email, or could we do that right now?
we can do that right now.
I was going to say if we could, let's just do that. Let's see. I would say